Is Dead by Daylight getting worse? And I think the answer is yes. Now, I've made a couple of videos talking about how DBD feels like it's getting worse, or stale, etc. But it seems like Behavior doesn't know even what to do. This was part of the reason why I personally took about a month off the game, because it was about the Crossu PTB. There was just a lot of changes during that I knew weren't really healthy for the game. Recently, I've came back to the game and I started actively streaming it on my Twitch. And I've noticed a few differences and a few things that have just haven't felt that good. So instead of streaming today, which I was going to, I've taken my time out to make this video and give some of my thoughts on what is going on. So today I have 6 main points I want to go over. The first thing that I personally noticed as Killer and Survivor was the increased pallet count on certain maps. I just couldn't believe it. As Killer, I was playing on Haddonfield, I believe, and there's just so many pallets on the street. There's like 20 different pallets on Haddonfield. There's a pallet here, into this pallet. There's a pallet here. There's a pallet over here. There's a pallet here, and there's a pallet over there. There's like 4 to 5 chained pallets in just this main street. Just 4, all chained in together. There's a pallet way back there. There's a pallet over here. If you have a good Survivor, they could chain you between all of these pallets and just never stop. There's other maps. I know that Behavior said they were going to do this, and it was even questionable at the time that they were adding some extra pallets on Wreckers maps. Wreckers have always been just loaded with pallets. They have so many tiles and jungle gyms on Wreckers maps. I don't know why they added more. There are certain maps that I agreed with, like Coldwind. Coldwind maps felt extremely empty. Pallet counts have just been insane, and it's absolutely terrible to deal with as Killer. Like recently, like you don't even need to, but on Blight I started running Spirit Fury because there's just so many pallets. The next point I'm going to move to is the lack of content. This is my own personal opinion on this. I think it would be a good idea to not release content if the game was actually making proper changes that they needed to be. But the problem is, with the lack of chapters coming out now, with the game not feeling like it's moving forward to try to fix things, is not helping. I've always thought that it was probably a good idea to not release content on a certain time to try to fix the game, because the game still has just a lot of bugs. It didn't feel like they were ever taking that much time to fix any of them, because they had to keep releasing their new chapters every 3 months. So when they said on Twitter that, guys, we are not going to be releasing a lot of our content on time, I thought that was a good sign, because it looked like they were taking initiative to start trying to fix things, and it has not felt like that. It feels like they're making things worse somehow. The Crossu came out, and that's all we're getting until January. So if the game doesn't feel like it's going to get better before January, people are going to stop playing, and the game is actually going to die, and it doesn't matter about the events coming up or whatnot. It's not going to matter. So basically, the whole point of that is a lack of content would be good if the game felt like it was making progress. But if the game doesn't show signs of making progress to fixing it, the lack of content is going to severely hinder the game by making people not want to play it as much anymore, because they don't get to look forward to their next chapter coming out in 3 months. One other little side thing I just want to go over real quick is, I don't know what it is, but it has felt recently like the community is just being more toxic. I don't know why. I absolutely hate toxicity, and I just can't stand for it. This is why, me personally, I don't like to play games, for example, like Overwatch, because I find them extremely just toxic with the in-game chats. And it has felt recently that DBD is starting to get some of that too. I haven't personally gotten a lot of it, but I know that other YouTubers have gotten just absolute backlash over the stupidest things. Whether people be sore winners or sore losers, or just straight on hating on you because you're using a perk or playing as a particular killer. I mean, it's a game at the end of the day. Me personally, it doesn't really matter how bad the game goes. Even if I get absolutely tunneled, or maybe I play super scummy, I always say GG's at the end of the match, because it's always the right thing to do, it feels like. My next point is going on to basically playing as Killer, right? When you play Killer, it feels like you can't play anyone else besides the person you are probably the best with. Just a few days ago, I played a couple of killer streams, and my main is Blay, and I feel like I do totally fine as him. But if I go and play anyone else that isn't like a top A or maybe an S tier killer, it does not feel that good. I'll use Huntress as an example. With the increased amount of pallets and her movement speed, it feels like if I'm not trying to sweat and have to constantly hit hatchets, if I'm not like playing the best that I can, it feels like I'm gonna lose, which it normally does. I remember the other day I was going against a Freddy, and this Freddy he couldn't do anything. The amount of pallets there are on maps now just makes it so he can never catch up. So playing any killer that isn't a top tier killer just doesn't feel that good. It feels like you're forced to have to do it, and that's just specifically killers. Now going to my next point, perks. If you're not running anything else but a useful gen destroying build, you can't do anything. Just for fun, I like to run only orb reading perks basically on Huntress, just so I can be able to try to snipe people a little bit better. And because I don't have any gen regression, every gen just gets popped and done. And I go against people that bring in, you know, your P100 survivors that have brand new parts, and there's like 2 or 3 of those, and every gen just gets done, and you don't really get to play. You have to run some sort of gen meta in order to be able to compete against the survivors doing the same thing, and this has been an ongoing thing for longer than just now. This has been going on for like 2 or 3 years now. Survivors will run the best gen rushing builds because killers use gen destroying builds. So it's this constant battle between killer and survivor. So you feel like you have to do it. There's no room to change it up. There's no room to run a stupid meme perk and whatever. You have to do it because if you don't, you lose on both sides. And none of the new perks have felt enticing to use. Some of them are funny, like the one where you play the drums. It's just kind of funny. There's some of the Walking Dead perks. They're just not that useful, like rebuilding a pallet and then have it be a one-time use. The chances you're gonna get that off in a match is like slim to none unless you're actually trying to go and do it. But even still, it's just not that good. So you constantly feel forced to have to use your meta perks all the time on both sides. And this is gonna kind of branch off again to MMR. MMR is just so fucking shit in this game. Because I play Blight, I play him the most, so he has the most racked up MMR, right? So he has the highest. I can play 4 or 5 matches as him, and I get really good survivors. But if I lose those 5 matches, my next match is gonna be against just absolute babies. Why is that the case? That shouldn't be how it is. Why do I have to go against a bunch of baby players because I just lost 5 matches? Maybe it wasn't even a hard loss. Hooks are balanced. Maybe I got 1 kill. And because of that though, because it wasn't a 4K or it wasn't a max amount of hooks or whatever, now my MMR has to go down and I have to play against a bunch of babies where I win, and then right after that match, I will go right back to being with the sweaty people bringing in brand new parts every game. It doesn't make any sense. It just makes it feel impossible to like try to have fun because you're gonna feel bad whether you're killer or survivor. Trashing on bad survivors or bad killer, it doesn't feel that good, at least for me anyway. I don't like knowing that I'm playing the way that I'm playing, but a killer can't catch up to me because they're not like your P100 top tier Blight player. So me, I've just gotten back into DBD, so I don't think I'm gonna quit it again and go on a month break. But there are some things that feel not that good. Like me, I kind of just don't care that much. I kind of just like to have the fun of the game. But when the bad things add up, it adds up. And not every single player is going to be like me and just not care about all the, you know, bad things. DBD really has to lock in the remaining of the year. They need to stop releasing perks that don't feel that good. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think I'd be making another talking video, but I think with all of that information, I will see you guys in the next Dead by Daylight video.